At the end of the Switch 2 Direct, when Nintendo unveiled Donkey Kong Bananza, I honestly wasn't that excited. I hadn't really played much of a Donkey Kong game before. I didn't really care for the Donkey Kong story. I just really didn't care about Donkey Kong in general, and I was just excited for Mario Kart World and Metroid Prime 4. And up until the Direct, I knew I wanted to get the game, but I wasn't really ecstatic about it. But then there was the Direct. After the ultra disappointing Mario Kart World Direct, the Donkey Kong Bananza game Direct was peak. It was full of new information and exciting updates about the game that, get this, we didn't know before. And honestly, it made me from meh to really excited about this game, and I knew I definitely wanted to get it now. And as July 17th got closer, I got even more excited about this game. IGN giving it a 10 out of 10? Most places only give out like 2 10 out of 10s a year. I knew I wanted to get this game as soon as I got my Switch 2. So in the turn of events, I got it on launch day, and then just put it in my closet for like a month and a half until I got my Switch 2. But either way, I did get my hands on the game. So that's the mindset I had when going into Donkey Kong Bananza. And this game is interesting. And with that, the game opens with Donkey Kong in a mine. And of course, he's looking for his precious bananas. At this point, your main mission is going to be just exploring the mines and collecting all the bananas you can. But at the end, you'll stumble upon a huge stash of bananas. And right as you go to take it, Void Kong, the main villain of the game, swoops up, sucks up all the bananas into his ship, and heads to the planet core. And with that, your next objective is to get to that planet core and get those bananas. To do so, you'll have to escape from Ingot Isle, which is a part of the mine. The thing is there's a void transmitter in the way. So you'll have to go explore and try to find some way to break out. And that's when you find Odd Rock / Pauline, who has this mysterious power which allows her to break these voided things with it / Pauline's voice. Once you do that, you'll go through the Ingot Isle layer and you'll eventually find your way to the lagoon layer. Ingot Isle is a small layer, and like I said, it's part of the mines, and this is just the intro of the game. It gets you used to the new smashing mechanic and collecting bananas and all of that. The first big layer in the game is the lagoon layer. This layer is a area with a lot of water, and it's really known for its fishing. I do really like the look of this area, but anyways, your main goal is to, of course, get to the planet core, which, believe it or not, you're actually heading more towards the planet core, but it doesn't look like it. And basically, you need to get to the Bananza Elder, which I'll explain what that is in a minute. But to get there, you have to unplug these 3 plugs in the area to make the water level rise. To do that, you'll have to go to different areas, defeat different enemies, unvoid them, and the plugs will all come out. And you'll do this for all 3. Once you've done that, you can finally make your way over to the area which you weren't able to make your way over to because the water level needed to be higher, and that is where the Elder is. This is where you'll get your first Bananza. It's in the name. And the Bananzas are basically the big thing along with the smashing thing for this game. Basically, they're different transformations Donkey Kong can transform into with Oddrock/Pauline, and as you go through the game, you'll unlock new ones, which will help you conquer different challenges and help you progress through the game. And to get these transformations, you'll have to visit these elders all throughout the world who will grant you the Bananza. The lagoon layer is home to the first Bananza, which is the Kong Bananza. Basically, it makes Donkey Kong even more strong, which allows you to break through harder terrain. But first, you have to an ancient record, because apparently these ancient elders are DJs, which is a bit weird and but I got used to it over time. Once you go find the record, the Oddrock will have to sing to unlock DK's power and beat on his chest. Although the thing is that the Oddrock is really nervous to sing for some reason. And as Donkey Kong pounds his chest, the Oddrock explodes. And sure enough, it's Pauline. How did Pauline get here? Basically, Void Kong voided Pauline and turned her into a rock and sent her down from the surface into the mine, because she has a special power which allows her to activate the Vanadium root, which we'll talk about later. And the thing is that she's gonna have to sing to activate these Bananza transformations. But anyways, once you get the Kong Bananza, you're gonna have to make your way through this little area using the Kong Bananza to break through metal. And that is when you're gonna see Void Kong, Poppy Kong, and Grumpy Kong, and Poppy Kong are his 2 henchmen. And you're gonna have to battle Grumpy Kong in this very odd looking thing called the Peekaboozer. I don't know how to pronounce most of the bosses in this game, so Grumpy Kong will actually get into this machine that's called that, and you basically just punch at it. It wasn't really that hard. Anyways, after that, he'll give you the key to go to the next layer, and you'll acquire more bananas. And that's another thing. You collect Bananium gems all throughout this game. And at first, I didn't really see why you needed to, but as the game progressed, I learned why. The main reason we'll talk about at the end of the review, but there's also different challenges throughout the game that you'll collect these bananas from. Kind of like in Zelda with the shrine and Mario Odyssey with the different challenge rooms, there are challenge rooms in this game. There's also different types. Some of them are big rooms that you have to complete certain challenges, and you can find up to 3 bananas throughout all of them. and some of them are formatted in the 2D side scroller, which I thought was really cool. Kind of like how Mario did it, it's just Donkey Kong made it more 3D. And then there are 30-second time challenges where if you complete the challenge in 30 seconds, you'll get a single banana. There is a rare case where the 3 Bananium gem rooms have a time limit, which is really annoying, but that's not. There will be some places where you'll have to pay the fractones to destruct rock off of them to get to it, and honestly, I paid up most of the times I saw them because I love going around and doing little challenges like that. You'll also find fossils, maps, treasure chests, balloons, and all other things as you explore and smash through the world. I mostly liked collecting fossils because you can actually unlock and buy different fur colors, different outfits for Pauline, and you'll use the fossils to pay for them, so always make sure to collect them, and there'll always be new outfits in different layers. And the maps will show you where Bananium gems or fossils are, and the treasure chest will usually have a map, a melon juice, or a balloon in it or something, which the balloon will basically prevent, if you fall, it will bring you back up without losing any health, and melon juice restores your banana energy, and then there's also apple juice, which restores all of your health if you die. Most of the challenges were not too easy, but they were also not too hard. In most cases, there were a few challenges that were ultra easy and a few challenges that were really hard that I was eventually like, I've already gotten so sidetracked enough, I'm gonna continue with the main game part. And see, there are some layers that are pretty big and not a lot of the layer contains to the story, and there's just a lot of open space. And the thing is that these challenges and things you have to collect really give an emphasis to exploration to the game, because I don't really have to go through all that to explore and everything, but you could, and it's really rewarding, which I think is a really, really, really good thing that was implemented into this game. So that way, in some layers, you feel like you can go around and smash all the stuff, because with the new smashing mechanic, like, why have that if you don't have something to explore? And the challenges and all that you can stumble on, and all the treasure you stumble on, really make that aspect of the game come out and making it fun. Now, there is also some areas where there'll be like a part of the map that you have to find and explore to go to a challenge or get something. So technically, it's like a challenge, but it's not a challenge, which is really cool. And these are spread across most layers. Now, some layers are really small, some are medium, and some are really big, but you can still find a ton of stuff. And I have to admit, there were times where I added like an hour onto the time it took me to get through a certain mission just because I was going around and exploring and everything. And you really do get sidetracked in this game, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. The next layer is the hilltop layer. This is actually a layer that's mostly empty with a lot of the areas that you can go explore. I like the look of it, but honestly, it was kind of small and underwhelming. Basically, you'll find out that the sinkhole to the next layer is blocked by these huge voided banana rocks. So you're gonna have to go find a transmitter and destroy that to unvoid the banana. So this area is where it teaches you how to turf surf, which is basically you pick up a rock and surf down a long area. So again, kind of part of the intro. Anyways, once you unvoid that rock, you'll have to pay the construction team to destroy it. Now, there are several areas in the game where you'll have to pay someone to progress, which can get a little annoying. But honestly, with the amount of gold you got, it was never a problem with me. So, yeah. Anyways, once you get that destroyed, you can go to the next layer. Overall, like I said earlier, small and underwhelming layer. The next layer is the canyon layer. As the name implies, the canyon layer is a huge canyon layer. It's really cool, and it kind of takes on more of the traditional Donkey Kong vibe style to it. This layer is really vast, with tons of things to explore. Basically, once you get there, you'll talk to the inhabitants and learn that something's gone wrong in the banana refinery. So you'll have to go to the main town and check on everyone. In this town, there'll be different shops where you can find outfits and everything, but most importantly, you'll find out more about what happened to the banana refinery, and you're tasked to go there and to try to see what's wrong. To go there, you'll have to make your way across the layer to this huge tube-looking majiggy. You'll have to climb to the top and soar down it to get to the banana refinery. But at the entrance to the banana refinery, none other than Grumpy Kong again is blocking the way. He just never gives up. So you'll have to fight him again in this big thing again, weird majiggy. This one was actually probably my favorite. It was really easy, but it was a really cool boss battle, and you, again, basically climb on him, punch on him, throw rocks at him. You'll have to use the Kong Bananza because some of it is metal. Again, not that easy. And once you do that, he'll give you the key so you can enter the banana refinery. I do really like the banana refinery in the canyon layer as it looks so cool. It's made up of this sparkly gravel stuff, and it's so dark and it just looks so cool. In the middle of the refinery is the huge refinery mixer, which is really called the Mad Mixer, and apparently Void did something to it to make it mad. It's a mixer. It's kind of stupid. Anyways, to get there, you'll have to ride different minecarts around different areas of the banana refinery where you can explore, and you'll talk to different employees to figure out more things, and where you'll also defeat different enemies and everything. But once you make your way to the actual Mad Mixer, you'll have to defeat it. To do this, you'll have to ride a minecart all around it and shoot boomrock at it to destroy it. This was really fun and really easy, but really fun at the same time, and you guys shoot at different angles, and overall that was really fun. Once you defeat the Mad Mixer, you'll have to go to the big smokestack, which, again, Void Kong did something to it. You'll have to make your way up to the top by basically climbing this big metal structure looking thing, and there'll be a lot of different things you can find and different bosses and challenges you'll have to complete. Once you get to the top, you'll get to the last boss battle of the layer, the Stomproid. Basically, Stomproids are these weird, creepy heads with a huge stomp foot on them, and they'll stomp on you. The mini versions are already annoying enough, and having to deal with a huge version was really annoying. Although honestly, the huge version wasn't that hard. Basically, once it stomps down on you, you have to destroy its one leg, and then you can actually do some damage to it. Overall, the canyon layer at the time was my favorite layer in the game, and it still kind of is. It's a very huge and immersive layer, and there was so much exploring to do. There's this one area that was kind of underground, like a lagoon almost, where you had to help these fractones, and this is a very common thing where you'll have to go find different fractones and bring them to the main thing, and you'll get banana for them. Overall, I spent probably 2 hours in that area. I kept finding different challenges, different things I could do. It was amazing. And I really loved the aesthetic of this layer too. And overall, I spent a very long time on this layer just doing stuff like that. And yeah. You might think I'm going to talk about the next layer. Well, no, because here is where things get interesting. So basically, you'll hit the layer called the Divide, whereas I kept calling it the Great Divide. Basically, it's where you get to choose if you want to go to the freezer layer or the force layer. And I chose the freezer layer. The freezer layer is a big frozen layer. Although, to me, it sounded like freezer, as in the thing in your kitchen, which was a little sus. And the layer is kind of weird. It's inhabited by zebras. There's a lot of ice and like ice cream shaped villages, and as you go deeper, molten lava, which apparently is like molten chocolate lava. Kind of a funny, interesting vibe, but basically once you get there, the layer itself is actually pretty big and very nicely laid out. Once you get there, you'll have to talk to a zebra, which will inform you that the cooling fans have been not working because Void stopped them from working. And you have to go to the cooling tower to fix that and make it less cold, because even though the environment is cold, apparently it's too cold. But you're first tasked with checking on the village, which is further down. Now, there's this roadway that is made out of material that will disappear if you stand on it, and only zebras can do it, so you'll have to go down in the freezing water, which, by the way, does hurt you, and climb back up. And once there, you check on the village. Okay, they're good, and there's shops, everything. But the thing is to get to the cooling tower, there's a huge walkway made of that material, and only a zebra can get there. So you have to find the elder in that layer to get the zebra bonanza. To do so, you'll have to find this transmitter to blow up some of these rocks and go down this path to get to the next sublayer. In this sublayer will be a small little town with a vast, big area of stuff you'll have to go do. But the main center of it is the zebra elder, which you will have to go through this molten lava area to get there. So as you expected, the zebra elder grants you zebra bonanza, but first you have to find the record pieces. This time the record got split up into multiple pieces, so you'll have to go explore this sublayer, find them. You'll have to use some ice cubes to melt molten lava. You'll have to climb up these wind fans and unvoid them to get to one of them. Overall, it was a little frustrating to find multiple, but then again, it was also nice because it wasn't so easy and it added more to the game. Once you do that, you get the zebra bonanza, and it makes you look like a zebra, and you can run fast, which allows you to run to the cooling tower. Once you get to the cooling tower, you'll have to go inside to find none other than Poppy Kong ruining the day. And at least it's something else than Grumpy Kong. This boss fight was the first challenging boss fight, because basically Poppy Kong sprays this invisible stuff on her, which turns her invisible, so you cannot see her, and she'll be dodging and ramming at you, and you basically have to avoid her ramming at you. And once she does, she'll kind of be stunned for a few milliseconds, and you have to punch her at the right time, which will make her come uninvisible. You can actually deal some damage. This was definitely by far my favorite boss fight, because it wasn't so easy like all of the other ones, but it also wasn't too hard. And then you can go to the second layer of the freezer tower, and you'll have to use ice cubes to dissolve out the molten lava. And basically, you're just heading down the cooling tower till you get to the last sublayer, where you have to fix the compressor, which was causing this issue, by defeating this huge boss, which I forgot what it was called, but I'll put it on the screen. It is this boss right here. Basically one of those big round things that if you punch them, they'll clear out a path of whatever material it is, except it's huge, and it's molten lava. To defeat it, you'll have to throw ice chunks at it, which will stun it, and then you punch it. Although when you punch it, the actual creature comes out, and it spits out a trail of the ice stuff that you have to use the zebra bonanza for. And it's these ramps that go up, so you'll have to use the zebra bonanza to go across all of the ramps until you can punch him while he's on the ramp. This was again a little more challenging, which was nice, but it wasn't too challenging, and I beat it really goodly. And with that, you've completed the freezer layer. Overall, I did really like this layer. I wouldn't say I liked it more than the canyon layer. Some of it was a little bit too weird and whimsical, but I did still really like this layer. And there was, again, still a lot of exploring. There was this one huge mountain, ice cream thing, scoop-shaped mountain that you could go into, and there's a ton of different things you can do. Getaways and stuff. Speaking of getaways, there are also these things called getaways, which are basically little things that you can pay to build, and there's a bed and an outfit, so you can restore your health there. You can switch outfits. Really cool. I always build them whenever I get a chance. Although I do really like the zebra bonanza just because of how fast you can run. I do like, the different twists on things in this layer. Again, not my favorite layer, I still really like it. It's probably better than the Lagoon layer, maybe. I don't know. Now, I did say here's where things get interesting before the freezer layer, but here is where things actually get interesting. So basically, the next layer is the junction layer. Now, it's kind of like a replica of the Great Void. The thing is when you get there, everything is voided. You can't punch everything. Everything's purple and voided out. So you go down the ramp and you're like, what in the earth? What in the earth? And at the end, you see Void Kong's ship. To get to the main middle platform, you'll have to destroy a void transmitter, which unvoids everything, and the bridge will raise. But once you get to the middle area, you'll see Void Kong's ship. This is the junction. This is the big moment. This is where you see him. Of course, you can't actually go there at that rate. You actually need to go to the force layer now, which you can't because the force layer was voided, which caused the bridge to the force layer not able to raise. And for some reason, they decided to put the transmitter on the other side. So yeah. So basically, you'll have to use the warp gong to go back to the Great Divide, as I call it, and then go through the force layer, which is the next layer we are going to talk about. And again, as the name implies, it is a forest layer. The forest layer is inhabited by ostrich-type creatures, and it is a big jungly, like really cool forest. I do really like this forest. I'd say I like this layer better than the freezer layer. But the problem is that Void Kong poisoned all of the water, so there's poison water everywhere, and there's thorns everywhere, which is so annoying. And the thing is that the force layer is famously known for the famous Eggshell Hotel, which is a huge eggshell, and it's a hotel. And the problem is that guests haven't been able to come, but it's Void Kong for it put all this poison stuff everywhere. So you have to go to the Eggshell Hotel to talk to the ostrich elder to get to the bottom of this. And you'll have to make your way along through these main areas, but you also have to be careful because you're going to have to get rid of thorns, dodge the poison water, and all that. There's also these little things where if you pick up the terrain and throw it, it like stretches out, which we'll use a lot. And the journey to the Eggshell Hotel isn't too long. There is like a town along the way. Here you'll actually find these trees which grow bananium gems, but you have to spend a lot of gold. But I did it almost every time. But anyway, there's also this little sitting area where you can restore your health and everything. But beyond the point of, making your way there and collecting everything, once you get near the Eggshell Hotel, you'll have to climb up this big tree since you're not an ostrich yet and dive into the Eggshell Hotel, which is 3 layers. I will admit, it was a little annoying that there was no map of the Eggshell Hotel, and when you opened the map, you couldn't see inside. So that was a little annoying. Anyways, your main goal is to talk to the Ostrich Elder and get the Ostrich Bananza. And like usual, the record is split up into multiple different pieces. And these pieces are actually spread out through the hotel. So this is where you actually get to explore the Eggshell Hotel by going down to the other floors of the hotel to get the records. You will also get a room at the hotel, and I thought that was kind of really cool, just like exploring the hotel, going to the little pool which was like lava infested. It was really cool. Of course, there's a lot of thorns. There's these things that they'll come out, but they'll leave a trail of like thorns or something, and then and it's really annoying because they do hurt you. But once you find the 2 record pieces, you will get the Ostrich Bananza. And as the name implies, you can transform into an ostrich now. This allows you to do is fly and glide and also shoot eggs at your opponent, which they mentioned in the rec. But oddly enough, I never did that, and I never had the ability, so I don't know if it was something I had to upgrade with skill points, which we'll talk about later or whatever, but I never did that, so that was a little weird, and I honestly totally forgot about that part until after I beat the game and I watched other people's reviews. Once you get the Ostrich Bonanza, the Elder will ask you to go down to the next sublayer to try to fix this poison water issue. You'll have to use the Ostrich Bonanza to fly above the poison water to get to the sinkhole, and once you beat a few enemies and get the key, you're down to the next sublayer. This sublayer is absolutely filled with poison water and thorns. So you'll have to use the Ostrich Bonanza to fly around to different areas and avoid the poison water. There are 3 pumps scattered across the area by Void Kong, which are pumping out the poison into the water. So you'll have to use the Ostrich Bonanza to fly to each of the pumps and destroy them. Each time you destroy a pump, it will unveil a new area of the layer. There's this one area that has this blue bouncy material, which I honestly didn't like because you have no control over your trajectory. I mean, it wasn't hard, but it was annoying. The last pump you have to destroy will be at a small extension of the hotel under the hotel. It's kind of weird. And once you destroy all of that, you'll dive down to the final sublayer where you'll beat the final boss. And that boss is this huge flower boss called the whatever this is. I don't know. A lot of the names in this game, I'm like, what in the earth? What is that? Anyways, it's a huge, like, plant flower boss, and this boss is actually a lot more challenging. I died a few times, and that's because it will actually shoot thorn out at you. You have to go up those thorns while there's actual spiky thorn coming up out of the, I guess it's not a thorn, but like a branch or whatever it shoots at you. And you have to dodge those, break those. There's also poison water that it will send down there. And you have to like make your way up there. Once you get that, you can actually punch the brain of the flower and do some damage. And you have to repeat this 3 times in normal Nintendo fashion. But honestly, I really liked this boss fight. It was really intriguing and really different and definitely one of my favorites. So yeah, that is the forest layer. It wasn't the biggest layer, it wasn't my favorite layer. I would say it's better than the freezer layer, but I did really like the aspects of it, and it was honestly really fun and really kind of funny, just the eggshell hut hotel and everything. Once you've completed the forest layer, you'll go back to the junction, but this time you'll be on the proper side where you can destroy the void transmitter, so that way the platforms will raise up from the forest layer. I mean, it's kind of confusing because, I mean, technically you didn't have to do the force layer, but then again, you kind of did have to. You know what I mean? Anyway, once you're there, Void Kong is still there with his ship, and you'll go up there and you'll figure out that his ship is stuck because it is running out of banana fuel. You'll go confront Void Kong, and you'll have to actually boss battle Void Kong. This boss battle was a bit annoying because basically it's just a lot of running around because you will punch Void Kong once. He'll run off to a different layer. You'll have to go to the Kong Void, whatever, the thing that goes to another layer. And then you'll have to go chase him at that layer, like the lagoon layer. Punch him, he'll run off, you go, bam! Back to the whatever the thing is. Bam, bam. It got a little annoying. It was a little annoying, but it was definitely an interesting take on boss battle. But then you actually finish him off on top of his ship. He will make these 3 transmitters that power a shield around him. So as he's throwing lava, electric stuff, like all these things at you, you'll have to destroy each of the transmitter. Then you can actually finally deal some damage. It was exhausting, and I died multiple times, but honestly, very interesting take on a boss battle, I have to admit it. Anyways, after that, Void Kong will reveal that Pauline has a special power that once to the Bananium root, you don't know that yet, but once to the planet core, it will be unveiled. I thought this was the climax of the game, honestly. It's not the climax. The next layer is the resort layer. The resort layer is a very small layer, and as the name implies, it's kind of a resort or kind of just a break part in the game right after those back-to-back big boss battles. There's honestly really no objective in this layer beyond go through this huge watermelon to get to the next layer. Other than that, you can just kind of go around, explore, collect collectibles, buy outfits, overall, it was a very nice break after the Big Daddy. But you have a Big Daddy right after this layer. The next layer is the Tempest layer. The Tempest layer is a really interesting layer, and it really does break up, and it's one of the layers we've never seen before. It's a very stormy layer. There's tornadoes, windstorms, and it's inhabited by elephants. Once you get there, you'll go to the Elephant Elder to get more intel about the layer and what's happening, and he'll want to give you the Elephant Bananza. And just like usual, you have to go find 2 record pieces, or actually a singular record piece, but I'll tell you all about that in a minute, to get the Elephant Bananza. To do that, you'll have to go down into this cave, which there's a bunch of electrified lava everywhere that you have to watch out, or else you'll get electrified. As you make your way through the cave, you'll have to battle these bat-looking things by throwing stuff on their wings to weigh them down. Then you can actually do damage to them. You'll make it to this big platform that apparently sunk beneath the electrified lava. So you'll have to find a void transmitter to unvoid it and make it reappear. Now, you'll know a boss battle is coming. There's no game that has a huge round circular empty area that doesn't have a boss battle. Once you get on the platform, you'll see the record piece come down from the sky. But just as that happened, this weird bird bat looking boss called the Sinister Blusterwing comes down and eats the record piece. And to get the record pieces, you gotta battle him. This boss battle was really hard because he spat this stuff out at you that you had to avoid, and he would slam you. It was really hard. You would fall in the lava sometimes, and it wasn't too hard, but if you didn't know what to do, you would die. I eventually found out that you have to grab the stuff he shoots at you and shoot it at both his wings to weigh him down. Just kind of like this miniature version of the bat. And once you do that, you can pound the void device in the middle. And you have to do this in casual Nintendo fashion around 2-3 times. Overall, this boss battle is one of the hardest boss battles in the game. Because get this, that was just part 1 of 3 parts, and the battle gets increasingly harder each time. Anyways, he'll spit out the record, but it breaks into 2. So now you'll have to go find 2 pieces instead of a singular record. So you'll have to go deeper into this cave where there'll be acid rain and more electrified lava. You'll have to use terrain as an umbrella as you explore your way to get the record piece. There's also these really cool zip lines that you'll use to get to places throughout this layer and some even the other layers, which I really love. Once you get both record pieces scattered in the cave, you'll go back up to the Elephant Elder and give it the record pieces, and he will grant you the Elephant Bananza. The Elephant Bananza, at first I was a bit confused what it does, but it basically allows you to suck up terrain and then spit it out. And the reason why this is so helpful is it allows you to clear out electrified lava areas. And you'll have to go back down to chase after the Blusterwing and suck up a bunch of that electrified lava to get the key to go more down. The next sub-layer is, yet again, another boss fight, in particular, part 2. And like I said, this time the boss fight is even harder, as he'll now spit electrified lava out at you, and if you touch it, you'll die and fall off. So you have to somehow manage to use the Elephant Bananza to suck it up and spit it out on him. I died multiple times trying this, but I eventually got it. And that brings us to the last sub-layer of the Tempest layer. This layer is actually really big and small at the same time, because it's just these little islands or like pieces of terrain that you have to make your way through in a kind of straight line to get to the last Blusterwing boss fight. Because at this point, your main objective is to A, go to the planet core, and B, complete the Blusterwing. But you'll actually find out that the Blusterwing is a nice animal that they've been harvesting, and Void turned to evil. We'll start off in this like underground Tempest layer area, and there's a lot of stuff to do here, and I spent a lot of time here. But then you'll go out and make your way onto the different little platforms, use the Elephant Bonanza, and keep in mind it's also storming, and if you stand in one area for too long, you'll get struck by lightning, which I kind of thought was cool. Honestly, a good chunk of this part is, going through these different things, but, there's not much to say about going there. You suck up terrain, you jump, and you walk, and Anywho, once you make it to the end, you'll finally battle him for the last time of part 3 of the Blusterwing boss battle. And again, this time it's even harder because there's tornadoes everywhere. He shoots electricity at you. He's even stronger. This was so hard. It might be one of the hardest bosses. I died so many times because the thing is that he doesn't really spit anything out you can use. So you have to suck terrain out of the tornado, and oh my goodness, I had to collect 100 apple juices, and then I figured out, you had to unlock more. Again, we'll talk about skill points at the end, but oh my goodness. Overall, I really liked the Tempest layer. I say I'd probably like it more than the Freezer layer, but maybe not as much as the Canyon layer or Forest layer. I guess I kind of liked it more than the Forest layer. Overall, it was a big, expansive, nice scenery change and very cool ideas in here. And the boss battles were very hard, but very challenging and interesting. So, at this point in the game, you are nearing the end of the game, and honestly, there's not that many substantial layers left. There are a lot of small layers, and the next 2 layers are kind of very small and low effort, but and the next layer is the landfill layer. It's a very small layer, and it's basically a landfill, but it really showcases the underground mining technique. As in the first part, you just have to dig to get to the main plaza area down there, which it is a small town, basically a landfill, like the name suggests. And nothing much. At the end, there is another boss battle with Grumpy Kong. It's definitely harder. He regenerates and he shoots these blobs out at you. You have to use Void Kong. A little annoying, but overall, very small layer. Nothing substantial at all. And then the next layer is the racing layer. Let me tell you, when I first saw the racing layer, I was like, Renos, what in the world are you doing, Nintendo? Why? It's like a tiny layer inhabited by Diddy Kong and her girlfriend or whatever, I forgot, whatever in the world. And basically, the only point is you have to get this gold trophy to go down to the next layer, and you have to beat Diddy Kong in a race. The next layer is the Radiance layer, and this is one of those big, I have to say, the Radiance layer is a real, break in the terrain. It's very different looking, and there's this, glowing green Radiance terrain. I really loved it. And there's these light bulbs that you'll have to use this Radiance terrain to illuminate, because there is a lot of areas that are pitch black, and you'll have to bring a chunk of Radiance to light up the different light bulbs. Overall, the terrain is very interesting. Anyways, you're gonna have to go down this huge sinkhole, but you'll need to be a snake before you can do that. And that's where the snake Bonanza comes into play, which is your last Bonanza in the game, by the way. You'll have to go to the Snake Elder, which will grant you the ability. But like usual, you have to collect record pieces. And this time, 4 record pieces. But first, he does spill some tea, and basically you figure out that the golden banana-looking gold all around is actually roots coming from the Bananium root in the planet core. And this is where we first find out about the Bananium root, which will apparently grant powers and will save the day and everything. But Void Kong's trying to get there. Anyways, you have to find the 4 record pieces. The first one is in this little pit, guarded by this weird kind of spider, almost weird looking thing that's trying to intimidate you. I don't know what they're called, but you basically just have to get past them because you have to have the Snake Bonanza to beat it. The next record is in this cave, which you'll have to use the Radiance terrain to illuminate as you go down and get it. It was very interesting, although you could get lost. And then the third one is down this like long electrified pipe tunnel thing that you have to be careful and like slide around it to not get electrified. That one was actually really cool. And then the last one, which was by far the hardest one, was on this other side, and you had to use zip lines to get to it. The problem is that any terrain in the game would break and you would die. And it kept saying, get a scorpion chunk. And I'm like, you can't. The scorpions are invincible in this layer. It turns out if they're in light, they turn into this like snow powder thing. You can actually grab a chunk of them like that. But then when they get back into dark, they turn into the invincible material. So you'll be able to use that to zipline down. But it's not that easy because there'll be obstacles. So you'll have to jump around to different lanes of the zipline. There'll even be Radiance terrain that you'll have to avoid because if you get too close, it will turn you back into the powder like stuff and then you'll die. Overall, it was very challenging and it took me a while to figure out, but I really liked it. And then you get the Snake Bonanza, which is like my favorite, least favorite at the same time Bonanza. It allows you to jump really high and it also has this time slowdown mechanic, which was very annoyingly hard. Once you do that, you'll have to go to the next layer, to the Radiance layer, to reactivate the Sun Tower, which was deactivated somehow. You'll notice that everything in this area is shaped like a snake. Anyways, you'll have to go climb and jump up this tower to get to reactivate the sun. The thing is, it was so hard. I literally hated this area. I died countless times because not only did you have to jump, you had to use that stupid slow motion thing to like avoid things, and it was the most hard thing to do in the earth. It was so annoying. I hated this area. Anyways, once you get up to the top, you're supposed to use the Snake Bonanza to jump up really high and crack the Radiance to illuminate these invincible creatures so you can get the key to reactivate the sun. But I ran out of Bananergy trying to just get up there, so I spent like a million years pounding the ground to get enough gold to activate the banana. Anyways, you'll reactivate the sun. Now, before you go to the next sub-layer, Poppy Kong will decide to ruin your day and you have to whip her again. Same tactics as before, honestly. Like, not even harder, honestly. It was just kind of annoying. Anyways, you'll get to the next sub-layer, which is the one before the last sub-layer. It's a really cool area. It's actually like a big, open, snow-covered area. Nothing much to it. There's just a little small town. Anyways, you'll have to go to that town where they'll tell you that Grumpy Kong reared his bum through there and you have to go defeat him again. You'll go down to the final sub-layer, which is this really cool, like, ice area. Like, there's ice everywhere. And let me tell you, I could have spent hours just smashing that ice. It was majestic, beautiful, satisfying. I loved it so much. Anyways, boss fight time. Yeah, so you're gonna have to boss fight Grumpy Kong for like the 80th, 100th time in the game. But he is a lot harder. He's in this new vehicle made out of the invincible terrain. So basically you have to lure him into these like light patches. Once you do that, you just whip him as hard as you can. And thankfully, I kind of got him into a place where he's constantly in light, and I kind of glitched him out a bit. So honestly, it wasn't too hard. But here is where things get zesty. This is the actual climax of the game. Once you beat him, out of nowhere, this huge elevator comes up, opens its mouth, and you are falling. And there's a dramatic cutscene, and Polly's coming down, and she gets sucked in and leaves you behind. This was so... It actually showed a clip of this in the trailer, but I forgot about it, and this was, like, so climatic. I was like, oh my goodness. It was like, oh my word. And y'all, things just get even more from here. You wake up in a jail cell with, like, no health, without Pauline, which, by the way, you cannot do any Bonanza transformations without her. This is like, what? And this is actually the next layer, the groove layer, and I didn't even notice. I was so... Happening. I didn't even realize it, but we were in the groove layer, which honestly, it's a smaller layer. It's like, and there's not much to destroy because it's like a, I don't know what it is. It's just like a, it's where based the fractone layer. And by the way, why it's called groove is because it's like music focused grooviness. It's where a lot of the elevators live and fractones live. And honestly, it looks kind of like a space station, but it's not. It's underground. Either way, at the time you're like, what in the world is happening to me? Why am I just now? And basically, they arrested you because the huge speaker in the middle of the groove layer isn't working and ruined their party, and they suspected you for ruining it. Pauline is actually still with that evil elevator somewhere. So basically, you have to break out of jail. Thankfully, the terrain isn't that bad, so you'll just go under it. There's several areas where you'll have to travel underground, which was kind of cool. But other than that, there's not much smashing. Anyways, you'll actually meet Poppy Kong here, and you're trying to find where Pauline, and Poppy Kong will tell you she's joining you. Well, not really, but she's gonna help you because she doesn't like Void anymore. Anyways, she tells you about these 3 transmitters at one in that area, one in that area, one in that area, which are actually destroying the speaker. So your goal is to go to all of them and reactivate them to get Pauline back. So most of them you have to go down these narrow hallways, and there's these like enemies that are like inside the walls that you have to reactivate it, but then you can't get through. So you'll have to go through this like underground tunnel and get, overall, it was actually really cool and really interesting and really suspenseful. And once you do all 3 of them, the speaker gets reactivated and the huge elevator that sucked up Pauline comes back up, and you're like, give me back Pauline. So you actually have to go inside of it, and there's a countdown timer. You have to get Pauline, and she's inside this like thing that you have to destroy. And you're like, oh no, the time's running out, and you have to shoot stuff at this thing to get Pauline out. It was so suspenseful. And then at the end, when you get her, that cutscene with the song, oh my goodness, it was so beautiful. It was like amazing.
DK, I've never told anyone this before, but I have this dream.
And that brings us to the feast layer. Technically the last layer. Technically not the last layer for the planet core. The feast layer is actually very interesting, and I really like it because it's basically a huge amusement park centered around this famous banana burger. And it's like a tourist attraction, and they invite you to come in and try it. And this layer is very interesting. Because, I mean, the terrain is, it's like this red stuff. There is roller coasters all around, and it is so epic. And there's also this, like, poison goop oil stuff that you have to use sand to actually dissolve. But basically, the factory is having some issues with this poison goop and everything, and low employment and other things. So as you take a tour of the factory and ride all the different rides and everything, you have to activate these banana switches to build the burger. And this was just so cool because it was like exploring this like cool food amusement park, riding different rides, all in a game, as you're saving the day, as you're building the banana burger. It was so cool. One of the areas is just like these like swings that you have to use the ostrich banana to fly to and dissolve poison sand and activate the burger switch. Another one was like this wall, like cheese wall or whatever, that you had to use the zebra bonanza to run up before it dissolved to hit the banana switch. Another one was this like roller coaster ride that you did that you had to fire out, like kind of like the Mad Mixer but not, to get up there to get the banana switch. And then another one you had to actually go underground in the amusement park to get to. And that was just so cool, you know what I mean? Like, it was so cool to me. And I mean, there was like a roller coaster going all around, and you could ride it, and you could shoot boom rock at different things and collect fossils. There's different outfits you could get, doors you could get. It was literally so cool and very interesting. But at the end, you'll finally get the big Bananium burger finish. And oddly enough, there's no bananas on it. What? I will say, minus all of the, vegetables and mayonnaise and stuff, it looks like a good burger. Like, maybe if I go back there, I can get them to make it plain with just cheese and bacon next time. That would be so good. You know what I mean? Anyways, once you climb up to the top of the burger, Void Kong decides to show up. And you'll have to chase him up the burger. And you'll have to do a boss fight. But as usual, he runs away down to the planet core, and he puts a void lock on there. So to unlock it, you're gonna have to go up the huge Ferris wheel in the center, which was really cool. It was slow, but really cool because it was like the top off of the amusement park. You know what I mean? And then you'll have to chase Void Kong down under the factory. There's like a underground part of the factory where a lot of the oil is. And at the end of the feast layer is the Mucky Muck boss. And it is basically this like almost alien-like creature that is consumed in this poisonous oil stuff. So you'll have to throw sand at it to corrode it away so you can boss fight it. Honestly, wasn't too hard. I kind of feel like, honestly, the boss battles, a lot of the other ones were kind of higher up in the beginning of the game, and they kind of went downhill until you get to the last boss battle, hardest one in the game. Anywho, once you defeat that, you're like, now is the time. We're at planet core. And the next layer, which at the time you think is the planet core but really isn't, is the forbidden layer. As the name suggests, all of the inhabitants of this layer tell you to go away. Don't come here. You don't want to come here. But, of course, you got to come here and you don't care what they say. So you have to pay these fraptones to activate this barrier thing, which basically allows you to throw terrain, and it like turns into a ramp type of thing. I'm not explaining it well. That's like the main gist of it. And again, they're telling you to go away, but that's like the only way you can get across these like little floating islands. Again, really annoying because it uses up a lot of your money, but I mean, it's near the end of the game. At one point, you'll get to this huge like spiky wall, and at this point, you're like, oh yes, honey, this is the end of the game. Right beyond this wall is the boss, is planet core. That's not quite true. Anyways, you'll have to use the Kong Bananza to punch your way through this giant spiky wall. And then the Banandium root glowing in the background. I wish I could wink through this mask, but I can't. But just imagine I'm winking. Something sus is up, you know what I mean? Anyways, Void Kong is there and you're ready to battle him. Anyways, you do have to battle him first before you can you'll have to boss battle Void Kong again. And it's kind of similar to the last one, except he doesn't go to different layers. Punch him once, he'll run away. And this is actually really hard because you'll have to use the different terrain to throw in the barrier and jump your way along and not get killed because he's shooting missiles at you, which I died a few times. And then once you finally get past that part, you have the 3 transmitter array, just like the first time. Tap to break, and you have to whip him. And wow, what a simple final boss battle, right? Anyways, you go up to Banandium root, but it turns out that Void Kong was not dead. And he's trying to force Pauline to sing because apparently that's the only way to activate the Banandium root. The thing is that they don't want Void Kong to have it. And Void Kong turns Donkey Kong into an odd rock to force Pauline, and Pauline sings this beautiful song at the end and breaks Donkey Kong free, but it also activates the banana.
Oh, the BBQ. Jehovah.
That sound! When the world felt so cruel and bleak, when the hole looked so dark and deep, hard as rock, cold as stone, I was scared alone. Then your beat showed the way to me.
This is where the game gets very, very interesting. I mean, it turns out that that gold thing is King K. Rool. It's his stomach. What in the world? I had seen stuff about an alligator, and keep in mind, I'm not familiar of the Donkey Kong series, so having the reappearance of King K. Rool wasn't big for me, but for others it was like, oh! For me it wasn't. But apparently that alligator, I thought there was gonna be like an alligator bonanza. No, it's King K. Rool, the alligator king with this weird eye. And turns out it was not the bananium root. It wasn't really the planet core. And King K. Rool wants the bananium root because he wants all the bananas and wants to turn the whole world rotten and to ruin the whole world and to rule as king forever. So you're in just absolute shock at what in the horrid world happened. Anyways, you have to go down to the actual planet core. Planet Core is the last layer in the game, and by far it has the most sub-layers. There's 10 sub-layers to this, and this is basically just the boss battle layer. Once you get there, you'll see this huge statue of King K. Rool. And the reason why there's so many sub-layers is you have to ride a minecart all the way down to the bananium root. But there's 7 different stops you have to make to get to the actual bananium root. But along the way at these stops, there will be different challenges, like this white thorny area. There's one challenge where you have to battle multiple boss battles back too bad. There's even some areas with different exploration things you can do. This was so interesting because not only do you have the most dramatic ending of a game I think I've ever seen at the end waiting for you, you have all these different stops and stuff you gotta do and all these challenges beforehand. And as you're going down, the more gold it gets, and there's these gold pulsing bananium roots flying past you, and it's like, oh, it is so beautiful. And then finally, right, Mega Planet Core. This is it. This is the bananium root. Boy, is it beautiful. It's gold. It's everything. There's so much banana energy. You have infinite Bananza. And it is that time. It is that time to defeat King K. Rool. If I could wink, pretend I'm winking, the last boss battle. Anyways, this boss battle was decently hard, but I have to admit it wasn't that hard. Basically, you just have to use Kong Bananza to shoot these big balls. He shoots at you, back at him, stun him, and you just go and punch. The rest is just a lot of punching. And it was hard, but honestly, it wasn't that hard, honestly. Like, for the last boss battle, you know? Anyways, you whip him, and then you get access to the bananium root, and it grants your wish. Infinite bananas and Pauline to the surface, and it is absolute amazing. The bananium root extends and it shoots you up in this like golden banana platform up to the whole other end of the planet. And you finally made it. It's finally over. The end.
Just look at it, okay? Yes! We're going to the surface! Woohoo!
Hold up a second. Why is there a question mark? No. Guys, there's a false ending to this game. After you beat King K. Rool, there's an end with a question mark. And he comes back to horrid life. And as you're shooting up to the surface, you have to battle him again. So you're gonna have to tear off chunks and throw it at him, and he'll like deform you. And it's kind of hard, but it's actually really cool. Because keep in mind, you're moving, you're on like a floating platform going to the other side of the planet that you thought you were done with the game. But no, you weren't done with the game. And get this, you think you beat him, you know? You think you beat him. So you get up to the other side of the surface, and there's this city which looks exactly like an older version of New Donk City. Literally New Donk City with Donkey Kong and Pauline. King K. Rool wants to use the bananium root to rule the earth in that city and turn everything into rotten banana. And he basically grants himself the ultimate Bananza. Basically makes everything rotten. And this is intense. You have to make your way up to this final arena area. And you're like rushing because there's this like rotten banana lava coming up, and you're rushing, you're going through all the different challenges. You have to like use every Bananza, you have to use Elwood, St. Ostrich, all this. It's so literally dramatic. And then once you finally get up there, it is the actual final boss battle. And let me tell you, this final boss battle is by far the hardest boss battle of the whole game. I died probably 20 times. You literally take advantage of almost every Bananza in this boss battle. It is so hard. So he uses some of the same techniques before. It's just this time those bombs shoot out the sludge type lava stuff that will hurt you and everything. And he moves faster, and you don't have chances to attack him, and if you get close, he hurts you. It's so much more complex. Basically, you'll have to use the Elephant Bananza to suck up the sludge and make a path, and then you'll have to use the Kong Bananza, build up a super punch, and as right before the ball hits you, you punch it back at him and it stuns him. Then you have to use the Zebra Bananza to run fast and punch through this gold stuff to finally get there. Then you have to switch to Kong Bananza and punch him more, and you can use Ostrich Bananza to or Snake Bananza to jump up above some of this stuff, and you have to like repeat this 3 times. And then he shoots out the balls in like these areas, and if they explode, they'll spread sludge everywhere. So you have to use the Elephant Bananza to suck up more terrain, shoot gold at those bombs so they don't explode, and if you do, you have to clean up all the sludge, and then when you have to clean up the path, and you have to do the punch again. It is so hard, and it took me so much time, and boy was it a really good boss battle to end out the game. And once you finally do that, it's amazing. You finally beat the game. Donkey Kong and Pauline separate, and honestly, I was so sad because they separated. It turns out in the post-game content, you reunite. So that was not the best decision Nintendo, anyways. Wow. And no, I did not buy the DLC. I probably won't.
Oh, right. DK stream. DK! Sorry. Forget what I said before. You have to make your dreams come true. Don't worry, I'll be okay. I'll keep the beat on my own. See you around, DK.
Wow, what a game. So, after beating Donkey Kong Bananza, I mean, it's a great game. It is truly an amazing game. It's up there with Mario Odyssey and Metroid Prime on my game tier list. And honestly, it is one of the best 3D platformers. You know, when the game first came out, or like in the days leading up to it, I feel like we were more focused on the new mechanics and the bonanzas, like you could dig and smash everywhere, and the bonanzas and everything, which I mean, it truly is amazing techniques. Like, you can smash everywhere, and I'm sure the team spent so much time working on those mechanics and everything. But I feel like now that I beat the game, I've gotten so much more caught up in the frankly really amazing storyline of this game. I mean, especially with that spoof ending with the return of King K. Rool, which wasn't a big deal for me, but I know die-hard Donkey Kong fans, that is just like, wow. And that ending was probably one of the best, most dramatic game endings that I have played, and just, it's the latter half of the game is just so good. The beginning half was the latter half of the game is just where this game hit the home run. You know what I mean? Home run of the game. And going back to those mechanics, it truly is really cool. I mean, the smashing mechanics, and how we talked about earlier how we collect all this stuff, I found myself almost all the time just getting so sidetracked and exploring because of all that stuff, which was amazing. And, collecting Bananium, one thing you can do with those Bananium gems is using skill points, which I wanted to save for now. So basically, skill points allow you to level up aspects. So for instance, you can have a stronger punch, better sonar, level up your Bananza abilities, get more hearts. Like for me, I maxed out the skill points I had max health, and I maxed out my sonar and punch. But it's really endless possibilities, and it really adds to that explorative aspect because of the rewards. Not only are you getting fossils to buy clothes, you're getting Bananium chips, you're getting treasure maps, you're also getting Bananium gems, which also allows you to improve and level up your skills in more aspects. And this is one of the few games from Nintendo that I played that has this skill thing in a way. I mean, Metroid Prime technically had it, but it didn't really have it, but technically it did. That's so good, and it really makes the explorative and smashing aspect of this game just so horrid good. Now, can you literally smash everything? No. There is a lot of times where you smash down far enough where you get to the sub-layer, the minimal area, which, I mean, it would take so long for the team to develop the game, for you to do that. And I think that's a bit too much. Like, I think it's good at the point where it is. You know what I mean? And honestly, just that combined with the Bananzas, that's another big thing. And I think that is a big aspect of this game. It's kind of like capping transformations, but like you have these Bananzas, which also help progress the story, and it's also like you're leveling up there, and every time you're like, what Bananza is next? What does this allow me to do? It's so fun. And then you have the layers and the sub-layers, and then just journeying to the planet core. Very well designed areas. The beginning of the game is similar, but then you have the groove and these climactic areas, and I have to say, the climax of this game is so amazing. Like, it's so dramatic. And the story, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, the story at the beginning of the game wasn't that good, but at the end of the game, the story just picks up and goes for a grand slam. And there is just so much fun and time that you can pour into this game, and there's so much post-content that I haven't. And there's a DLC, which I won't be getting. Is it a replacement for a 3D Mario? No. If Nintendo doesn't give us a 3D Mario, I'll be very upset, because while this is good, it's not a replacement for a 3D Mario. But then again, this game is it's really good. It's really good. Now, that's not to say that there were not things I didn't like. For instance, some of the layers. There were some layers like the landfill layer, the racing layer, the resort layer that were small, didn't have much to them, and that purely were just stupid, honestly. It was like, oh, we need more layers. Let's just add little filler layers. Let's not actually put any effort into them. Also, the story. Interesting enough, one of the highlights I talked about, the story isn't that good, honestly. It's like there's not really much story or emotional connection in the beginning of the game. There's not really anything interesting about the game, story, or even the game sometimes in general, until you get to the junction. And even then, it's just kind of like, okay, like the story progression was too slow. We went from like, to brown. Like, I didn't like that. You know what I mean? It didn't hit my sweet spot in some areas. And that's not to say it wasn't a great game. And overall, I give this game an 8.5-ish out of 10. My game rankings are a little weird, because I would probably give this game more, or Metroid Prime more, but then again, I like these games more. It's weird. I would put this game under Odyssey and above Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And even though this game is more expansive in a lot of ways over Odyssey, honestly, Odyssey just made so much more of an emotional connection with it. I don't know if it's because it was like my first experience with Nintendo, but I kind of feel like the story progression was a little better in that game. And it's just, this game just didn't give me that emotional connection. Not really until the very end. At the very end, oh yeah, it was strong. At the beginning parts, I was like, okay, it didn't really hook me, you know what I mean? I love the games where when the game hooks you early on, you can really enjoy it. Mario Odyssey, and especially Metroid Prime, really hooked me early on. And yes, Metroid Prime is still my favorite game. We'll see about Prime 4. It might whip it. It might be slightly under it. It might be horrible. I hope it's not. I'll sue Nintendo if it is. See, and also, those genres of games are more my type of games. But don't get me wrong. This game is still amazing. So yeah, that is my very long review of Donkey Kong Bananza. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have 2 or 3 hours of raw footage I'm going to have to cut through. That's going to be enjoyable. This video might be an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I don't know, you know? Honestly. Anyways, y'all, thank y'all for watching. And y'all, if you made it to the end, please like and subscribe. Making these big reviews like this takes me a long time. In total, it's taken me like a month to make this game review. Because like, it took me like 2 weeks to script the review. That's just scripting. And then I had to film it. And then after I'm done filming all this, I'm going to have to edit it, make motion graphics. So, needless to say, it's a lot of work, especially since it's mainly just me that does it. So, it is a lot of work. So, I just ask that y'all would subscribe. It really means a lot to me. I would also like to say thank y'all for all the very kind comments y'all send me. It really makes my day when I get a comment from someone and they're like, good job, man. Oh my goodness, it just makes my day. So, anyways, y'all, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.
Breaking through, down to the core, no stopping us, not anymore. Inside the storm, I found the key, your beat sprang out, my voice has been released. Hear it call, it's whispering truth. This melody in harmony will strike a chord that's gonna break us free. When it all seems so dark and bleak, when the whole looks so cold